everybody. HR Metrics, Zahid, the steering committee, Musharraf. It's really a pleasure to be here today and to celebrate another year of women achievements and gender diversity in Pakistan. It's so encouraging to see that every year when we talk about women empowerment on Women's Day, every year the bar just gets higher and higher. And I think that's a testament to everybody in the room here, all the people who have won prizes and awards for their work and their efforts on gender diversity. Thank you as well to the steering committee for selecting me to lead Women for Board Allies for the next few years. I really do hope to try and do it justice. I think we have in the room, and we've heard from Al-Falah, and we've heard from HBL, and we've heard from Nestle, and what we have in the room today is really the enlightened ones. But our corporate sector is large. And our total representation of women in the corporate sector is still below 20%. It's about 15% for junior level employees, about 10% for middle management, and about 12% for senior management. So we sit well below the national average, where 23% of women are represented in the labor force. So we have a lot of work to do. And you would think that it would just be about the numbers. And you know, at InfraZamin, we're focused on development impact through our investments. And you would think that gender would be the really easy one to do. Because at the end of the day, it's just about filling the numbers. It's easy to get women into the corporate sector, into those positions. But it's not just about filling the numbers. When the OICCI conducted a survey earlier this year to see why is it that we don't have more women in the corporate sector, it turns out the number one reason that we don't is because women want to leave and don't want to work. And that's quite sad, because that means that a woman is not just losing her financial independence, which is critical on a micro level, but we're also losing someone in the workforce that represents a certain gender, but also contributes to the GDP of the country. So it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about getting them in, because we do get them in, but we find it hard to retain them and to keep them. And kudos to the organizations here who are really doing everything they can to make sure that they attract and retain women employees. So where can we potentially make the difference? And I think Women for Boards has done a fabulous job in pulling out 3 directories of 100 women who can sit on boards and who have that expertise. But it's much more than that. It's about celebrating women in management, not just women in boards. It's about creating networks of support for women. It's about creating pathways where they can really see themselves excel and contribute to an organization, both in terms of decision-making capability as well as P&L capability. It's also about recognition. It's about recognizing the women who have made sacrifices in their lives on a personal front and a professional front to get ahead and work in corporate organizations. So Women for Board Allies is really trying to bring together and create a network and a platform for women to recognize, support, and appreciate each other. And we hope to do that with all the support that we have from the regulators, from the corporations, and from all the wonderful, amazing women in this room. Because I think without that, what we are going to lack and what we are going to miss is really a nursery of young women who will eventually aspire to those board positions. And it's once you get women at the top, it's once you get them into leadership roles, that's where the real magic then begins to happen. Because in the words of a very dear colleague of mine, Roshane Zafar, when women CEOs get together, amazing things begin to happen. It was literally over a cup of coffee about a year ago that Roshane and I sat down and we began to talk about the collaborations that InfraZamin and Kashf Foundation could do together. And there the idea of the gender bond was born. And a year later, that is something that we subscribed to, and that's something that was floated in the market, which has been highlighted. So So it really came from the discussion that we had as friends to see what we could do to make women the centerpiece and mainstream gender financing for the country. And that's where I talk to all the women in the audience. It is fabulous to have male allies. We absolutely need them. But it is as much our responsibility as women to support each other, to find ways to work together, and to generally overall improve the lot of women, not just in corporations, but across Pakistan. Because let's face it, we have a long way to go on the Gender Equity Index. Now, I did not start out my career thinking that I'm going to be a female champion. I did not start out 20 years ago thinking that this is what I want to do in my life. I started out as a financial analyst thinking, this is my job, I'm getting paid for it, I need to do it, go home, and that's my life. But over the years, as I progressed, as I became more senior, I realized how few women were around me. And that's when I think the reality dawned that I have to step up. I have to step up and I have to see what I can do to change that equation in whatever small way that I can. And that's the invitation I give to all of the women here. Whether you are at a junior level, a mid-level, a senior level, support and encourage your female counterparts. You really must. Because it's with that collaboration that change really begins to happen. If we have support networks of women, networks in business, networks in entrepreneurship, that's where women find the most inspiration and that's where they find the most support. And I think that's something that I would really like to see and encourage across the board over here. We've talked about male allies. And we had Atif here, and we had HBL also talk about some really important concepts. When we were placing the gender bond, I tell you 95% of investors said yes. And they didn't say yes because it was a gender story. They said yes because it was a commercial instrument that was being priced at a commercial rate, which made sense to them. But then we had the visionary leaders, such as Al-Falah, who effectively stepped up, and I wish Atif was here, he's just left. But effectively, he stepped up, he said, whatever is left on the bond, Al-Falah will subscribe to. And I think that's such a powerful statement to make, especially for a cause which is not always recognized. So I really do appreciate male allies. And I think as women, we have to strengthen our bonds there and strengthen our bonds with each other and support and create those networks everywhere that's possible. And I really hope to do more of that on the Women for Board Allies over the next few years. At Infrazamin, we stand for development impact financing. It doesn't mean that we are looking for CSR. It doesn't mean that we're looking for donations. Our work is effectively development finance in infrastructure, which means that we look at roads, we look at water treatment plants, we look at sanitation, we look at microfinance. We look at all these areas which require further assistance on investment. And we put hard cash behind these projects. But what we do differently is that within the ethos of every single project that we take up, we build in climate, we build in gender, we build in any aspect of job creation and development that is possible. So that investors or companies that come to us looking for financing know that they have to meet our requirements of development and inclusion and climate, all of which really do contribute towards changing the mindset around impact investing. I look forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you once again to the steering committee and to Zahid at HR Metrics. Thank you to all of you. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to more interaction. Thank you.